All right, we back at the Blueprint. We have the one and only Telese Hussey, the original First Lady of BMF. How you doing, Telese?
I'm fine, and yourself?
I'm good.
Great.
Well, we're glad to have you here today. You know what I'm
good to be
saying?
here.
So you already know what we're about to do.
I know.
So tell the world about how you met. The world calls him Big Meech, but you know him as Demetrius.
True.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I met Demetrius in 1983 at Kmart's in Lincoln Park. He was with his mom, brother, and sister, and I was with my aunt and my mom. And we were seeing each other, walking through the store, and his mom was like, "Oh, she is so cute." And then he was like trying to talk to me, and as he was talking to me, he tripped over the clothes rack, and we started laughing. I was like, he is so goofy. And so as his mom was like, go back over there and try to talk to her, to make back up from, his bloomers or whatever, bloopers. And so as that went on, I was like kind of hiding behind my aunt and my mom, and then I was like, he's so cute. Mama, did you see him? She's like, yeah, go talk to him. I was like, no, I'm not going to talk to him. And so he came over, so I just started getting hot already, and I was just only 14 years old. So I was like, I don't know what to do because I'm not used to that. But back in those days, us girls, we used to like guys with nice hair and light skin, cute, and all of that. So I was kind of lame, and my parents is Jehovah's Witnesses, so I was like, I know I can't have a boyfriend for real. So what I did was, I was like,
I didn't know that. Your parents are Jehovah's?
Yeah.
Jehovah's
Wow,
Witnesses.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it
And
was
me
a strict
being the
household.
only girl and the baby, my brothers are much older than I am, so I will have, in order to go anywhere or do anything, I will have to be with my brothers. And so they didn't play with no guys liking me or trying to talk to me at all.
No.
So then I was kind of scared anyways from the things that my auntie would tell me about boys. So I was automatically like, oh no, they're not gonna kiss me and they'll put they tongue in my mouth or whatever, because my aunt was like, oh yeah, you could get pregnant. I was like, oh no, I wasn't gonna do none of that. So anyways,
How old were you at this time?
I was 14.
You was playing basketball?
Yes, always played basketball.
Now, your brother said you was a tomboy. Explain that. That's his
All my
interpretation.
life.
You tell the world what it really was. Was you a tomboy?
Yes, because I had to go with my brothers everywhere, because at that age, before that, you started your girl stuff. And so I had developed real fast. And so, my parents was on me. So I couldn't spend the night with no friends, no family members, no one who, that had a father or uncles and stuff like that. So that is the reason why I believe that I was such a tomboy, because my brothers wouldn't want me to go with them if I could not hang with them. So if I act like a girl so much and whine and complain, they didn't want me with them. Right. So I had to learn what they learned and do what they do, run just as fast as them, and play sports just as good as them, so that
You wasn't
I
out
can
there
hang.
wearing little dresses and tutus. You had on
Negative.
your kicks and your sweatpants.
Negative, all of that. I was a redhead, just big puffy redhead, and I used to have to, wait till the end of the week in order for my mom to even press my hair and all of that.
Right.
So
Different times.
it was just different times at that time.
Right, it was different
And
times.
at that time, we lived on 8th Street, and they called it the projects. And so at that time, the fashions was totally different than what it is today, where people today is based upon, designer this, designer that, or designer gym shoes and all that. We would go to Kmart's, or we'll go to Shoppers World and stuff like that. So I, being the only girl, I had Barbie dolls, and I would play by myself because my brothers and them would be playing their games and all of that, and I'm the only one who had the only room to myself, where my brothers shared rooms, and they'll be in there cracking jokes and having fun. And I'm like, want to go in there with them, but I can't go in their room, and then they'll beat me up and all of this other kind of stuff. So
Wow.
I had to learn how to sew and make my Barbie doll clothes and stuff like that. So to this day, I've been sewing by hand. So back in the day when we would go to school and stuff like that, so nobody don't talk about you wearing the same thing, I would sew different things and appliques on my clothes in order to fit in, because then it wasn't the gym
So
shoes.
you was
it
one putting
wasn't
the
all of that.
alligator on the shirts.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Okay.
So then I used to get hand-me-downs from my aunt, and then I would also just
So you
had
guys
to
didn't grow
turn
up. You
it
guys
in.
didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Oh no, but my dad always worked at Great Lakes Steel. But again, he was a Jehovah's Witness, and he'd be stingy.
Yeah,
He'd start
he was-
sweating
it ain't like he
if
didn't
he
have the
wanted,
money.
if we want the clothes,
Yeah, he
want
was
different
just
They
stuff.
don't, yeah, because
he
they don't
was
really
tight.
believe in all that
He
type
was
of
Yeah,
stuff.
he do
frugal.
not
He was real
believe in
frugal
that.
with his money.
Yes, he would tell us that the clothes don't define the man, the man define the clothes.
That's true.
So he would be really strict on us. So I became like when I got to the 9th grade, I was the captain of the varsity girls basketball team. But at the time at Dunham's, these Jordans, red, white, and black, they were had. And I'm like, Dad, everybody on the team, they have the Jordans or whatever. He said, are those gym shoes gonna make you run faster, jump higher, do what they gonna do for you? And I'm like,
You
Daddy,
should have
but
said, yeah, they will.
and I'm like, Daddy, but I'm the captain. I can't go out there with a different color or whatever. He said, I told you that if anybody have anything to say about who you are, then you tell them that, well, you want me to be just like you, and you are just like everybody else, but to be who you are is more important than trying to be like everybody else. So I ain't understand that, because I just wanted these Jordans because I'm the captain. So he was like, well, you're going to have to go in the basement and clean up the basement, clean the apples up in the backyard, and you have to do all this. So he plays these games.
Yeah, he gonna work
so he going to work you.
Put you to work. Old school.
Oh,
You gonna
yeah.
Old school.
Yeah, you
Work
gonna
your ass
earn
to get that
this.
shit done.
That's for sure.
You're gonna earn this.
So then, at the end of the day, before I was going to go to school, I'm like, dang, I wonder if Daddy really gonna give me this. Now I done did every chore that he said, and now I still don't see the shoes. So just before I went to school, he gave me the gym shoes. I was so geeked up. I praised them shoes like they was like, oh my God.
What year was this?
They would have a string and tie them around my neck like my skates and shoe. I cleaned them boys every day.
What year was this?
And so that was in, 84.
Wow. So basically what I'm getting right here is you came from a much stricter family than what your brother ever described.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the reason why I always said that's the reason why I say I was surprised that all that was happening, because
That's unheard of.
that shit was tight as a drum when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You had to be off the phone at 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
Because
wasn't no
with
sneaking in the
Jehovah, do
basement.
they allow you guys to date other people
No.
that are not Jehovah?
No.
Generally,
no,
no.
well, it wouldn't be even Jehovah's Witness. You can talk to them while you at the hall, the Kingdom Hall
Yeah.
or whatever like that, but it didn't matter where your walks of life brought you. At that time, the girls are like strictly, if we're going door to door or we going over to each other's, house family-wise, or,
Yeah, it was
Jehovah's
monitored.
Witness, it was monitored, everything.
All the time.
So, no, I
Times
could
was
never
different.
spend a night with no one,
No.
nobody. So,
Wow.
None
So,
of that.
so this is blowing my mind. So you guys grew up in a really strict household,
oh yeah.
and then
We got a lot
you
of
go-
ass whoopings though.
You, and then,
For sure.
So and then you go to the Kmart's with your mom, and you run into Demetrius with his family.
Mm-hmm.
So how long after that meeting at Kmart did it take for you guys to start dating and becoming familiar with one another?
Okay, so after that, he had a friend in Southwest, in which Demetrius was from Southwest, and that's just one street over from Ecorse. So
So you guys were neighbors, kind of.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's not that Demetrius wasn't athletic or anything like that. So I'll wait and go to after I'm finished doing my chores, homework, and I meet my friend Marquis, which is Edric's nephew, and we would go play basketball.
Explain for the view. Edric is ED?
ED.
Okay. Right,
Yes.
okay.
And they lived on the corner on the next street.
You guys all kind of were blocked in the same area
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Okay, so you meet him at the Kmart's. You guys, kind of have, that little young love thing. Ooh, I like you. Cute. She cute.
Yes.
And,
But
you guys started dating afterwards, probably within 6 months.
Well, okay, so this would happen. So after I met him, there was just home lines. There wasn't cell phones or anything
Right.
to that nature. So his friend Derek Meets, he was like a popular person.
The dude they call D. Mickey.
They call him
D.
D.
Mickey
Mickey.
on the movies right
Okay.
Yeah. So he knew some people that knew me from Ecorse, and so he had told. So Demetrius asked him, did he know me from just using my name, and so they kind of got in touch with some friends, and then we used to have like canteens at our center on 17th Street in Ecorse, and so after my basketball games, I'll be allowed to go to the center. And then I can only stay like 30 or 40 minutes.
Explain what is a canteen for
So a
those
canteen is a party.
Okay.
And so
After school party.
like after school.
Like 8 to 12, 7:30,
Yeah.
8 to 12, 7:30 to 12, 8 to 12.
Yes, that was our community center.
Our community center.
So I seen him again. That was for the second time. And then once I seen him there, we got each other's telephone number and all of that. And then from that point, I seen him every day after that.
So his
And-
family was not Jehovah's Witness.
No, his Demetrius' family is, I think, like Baptist or something like that. His father used to play, music in the church, and his mom used to go there or whatever. But I didn't meet his father until 2 years after I met him, because his father wasn't like around that
In the
much,
house, like
in the household. And his mom was always gone, and his sister Danielle, she was probably about 6 or 8 years old.
Is that
And
the one in the show they're portraying?
Yes.
Is
Yeah,
Nicole?
the little-
Yeah, Nicole.
that's
So
right.
she was how old at this time?
She's like 8 years old, 6 or 8 years old.
So she's 6 or 8, and you guys are 16?
15, 16.
15, 16? Okay.
Right.
So Terry and Demetrius would come to my neighborhood, and they would meet me in the field of the elementary school, which used to name Kennedy. And then I was in the 8th grade. And so the 8th grade in Ecorse started, at the high school.
Right.
But you're not eligible to play any sports and all of that until you get to the 9th grade.
Right.
And so they used to come every day to pick me up, Demetrius and Terry. So they really didn't.
They would walk you home from
They would
school?
walk me home from school. Then, they'll wait till I'm finished with my chores. And then my mother be like, hey, who is these guys? Why every day they over here?
Mama
Don't
Jean
they
don't
have
play.
chores or something to do at their house? Who is their family? Where is they from? And so then they just, just came a staple of just being there all the time. My mother was used to them. And the music wanted to watch Scarface every day. My mama said, hey, you take this video with you. I'm gonna make you a whole copy, and you take this thing home. And he always
What was
wanted to
y'all
eat
watching
chicken.
on back then? Because a lot of the viewers, they don't understand it.
The
What-
VHS.
VHS.
Man, what?
Yes, sir.
And so she was like, boy, I'm not gonna watch this no more. He's like, Jane. And she said, I don't care what you talking about. We not watching this again. It's other videos that we can watch. He just loves Scarface. That is his movie.
So when you met him at that time, he was in high school, young guy himself, him and his brother.
No,
Was
they
he not in school?
Nope. Terry nor Demetrius went to. By the time they got to the 9th grade, they didn't go anymore because their family was deprived of all kinds of things. So since the dad wasn't really in the household that much, and he was just a handyman, his mom did work at
In
Wendy's.
the television show, they have her working at Wendy's.
She
and
worked at Wendy's
works
for a
in
short period
for a
of
hot
time,
second.
and then she didn't work there no more. And so the kids, Demetrius and Terry and Danielle, they were like a lot of times without gas, electric, and water. And so they just didn't want to go to high school being,
Did they have nice clothes at that
no,
time?
They
It
used to
wasn't-
share clothes.
they used to share clothes. They kind of stayed the same size so that Demetrius can share clothes with his brother.
Right, they switch
And
shirts
so-
out, pants out.
They would Demetrius would do DJing around in the neighborhood and stuff like that, and do his little hustles or whatever that he could do so that his brother and him,
And his sister can eat.
and his sister can eat stuff, because a lot of times his mother and them, she wasn't there, like neither was the father. And so I started working at a store, it's called Mr. Lee, that was down in the hole. That's what we call Southwest, in that area across from Marathon. And so I would get food and stuff from there. Instead of getting payment, I would just get food, and then Demetrius and Terry would come walk down the street and come get me, and we'll try to cook and make things at their house or whatever.
Detroit is a rough city, and a lot of people do not come from a silver spoon. And were you around during the time when he decided to start hustling and getting into the streets? Was there any type of event, the catalyst that pushed them into the streets? Because I do understand it was, from what I've been told, there was a situation where things came to a head with, I believe, the mortgage or something that became
The taxes.
It was the taxes.
Okay,
So
tell the viewers about that. I don't want to misrepresent. Tell us, first. You guys are like family. From us saying they stayed with you guys were in the house. So share with the viewers and tell the viewers, what you know about this.
So a lot of times that they didn't have gas, electric, water, and being that their family came from Elyria, Ohio, to Detroit, they had absolutely no family in Detroit at all. No one that they can go to and talk to or help them out or whatever. So when the father would play music and stuff at the church, and then their mother would, when they would be together or cool or whatever, the mother and the father, they had the church families that would, check in on them and all of this. But as they got older, they kind of got away from going to church and all of that, because they didn't have those clothes and things that was acceptable at that time to wear, to want to go. So they had other things like for survival mode to what they needed to do for their sister and for Terry and, for Demetrius himself. Demetrius is the one who linked the whole family, is the glue to his family. So being that they had nothing to go with, they had no one to go to help them that they would even want to share the information with. So what they did was, once they met, Demetrius met me, Terry would tag along with him, and the sister would stay over to the neighbor's house,
Our cousin.
which was our cousin that had a daughter and two sons that lived right in that same
Right next to
cul-de-sac,
Rolling in them.
right next to Roland and them.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, I introduced them to the friends that we had in our neighborhood, and being that my mom is the oldest of 10, brothers and sisters from Ecorse, my aunts and them would get them rent-a-cars and all of this kind of stuff. And our friends, once they came to Ecorse, our friends became their friends, because the guys in different neighborhoods do not allow or like when other guys from other neighborhoods come to they and talk about today girls. So being that Marquis was Edric's nephew or cousin, he was my best friend, and then I kind of, introduced him to Edric and all of them, and in that way he was starting to talk to him and try to find out, how to make money and do things Demetrius did. And so Terry, being his little brother, just followed along with him.
So what I'm hearing now, not to cut you off, so you were actually that female, you were that person that kind of put them with their first connect, from what it sounds like. to
Yes.
some degree.
Yes, to some degree. You could
Wow.
say that. Yeah, because guys was
Because
not.
they didn't know Edric at that time.
No, they did not know Edric, and then they didn't really know about Ecorse. So Ecorse is only like the 19 streets. That's basically, and it's like a
small
little small,
community.
yeah. So the thing is that once they start to get to know people and go out with my brother and see different people and all of this kind of stuff, they like know that we're like one of the families in Ecorse that everybody kind of knows and likes. And
You guys are a very big,
and-
popular family.
Yes. So
You guys originally from Louisiana or down south, something like that?
no,
Where's your family originally from?
my grandmother and them are like from that area.
Nashville.
Is that have a big family,
Nashville.
don't you?
Yes, we have a real big
Okay.
family.
So you introduce Demetrius to Edric, ED,
Yes.
and these guys are young guys. They're kind
Kinda
of going through
naive
it,
and going through
trying to
stuff.
get their stuff together.
Yes.
Is Edric a little older than them?
A lot older.
So he's an older guy, and he sees some young guys, and you guys obviously coming from being Jehovah's Witness fam. You guys were a tight unit. It sounds like you guys, cared about people.
Yes.
You were caring people.
Yes.
So you extended that love to them. And so how long after they got introduced to Edric did they start to get into the game and this whole tax thing? Can you explain that? Was that the catalyst?
So about a year later, so that would probably be like 84, 85, they start to meet and branch out to get to know the people of the neighborhood. And then taking a look and seeing what was new, what was going on, what the guys were talking about around there. And so Edric always would drive like fancy cars, be dressed kind of sharp and all of this kind of stuff. So they got introduced to Edric, and so Edric, gave him a proposition. And so no matter how much that they would sell or whatever, at that time, Edric could only give them like $700, and they can sell out and re-up, and it still be the same thing.
You
And
had them
so,
on like a payroll.
yeah, basically. And they didn't know the logistics of it. They didn't really know what to do, how it would to be done and all of that. So anytime that they would make money and they would take it home, and their mom, and they'll hide it, and their mom will find it or know that they're making money, and she will a lot of times take money and then beat them getting mad about it or her taking it. She'll write them a letter and tell them how, she's sorry, but she needed it for this and that and the other, but yet the gas, electric, and water still not on, and they still had to fend for themselves. So basically, when they kind of got a little bit tired of that and they start being more vast in knowing a lot of other people, so that's when crack, was getting real, prevalent.
So, Telese, we were talking about the taxes and these guys growing up and having to fend for themselves at a young age and being a lot of instability in the home, which the show has portrayed. We're going to peel back a few layers because this is not an assumption from writers in Hollywood that don't know. This is something that really happened, that you experienced, and you were there. So can you continue to share with the viewers about the dire situation that he and his brother were in as two young guys not going to school and just being put into a city like Detroit, as rough as Detroit is, with not having family? That's a rough situation, man. That's tough. So can you tell the viewers about this whole scenario, about what catapulted them even more into the game? Because I understand there was a tax issue or something like that happened with them.
Yes, so a lot of times, because his mom was on welfare, because the father wasn't around for some years or whatever, so the parents were out doing their own things, and the kids was just left to fend for themselves, because at that time, when food stamps was being able to be tore off the book, their mom kept the food stamps with her wherever she would be, and then the kids would have to just deal with the neighbors or whomever that, however they got it, they got it. So I was like, wow, I can't believe it, because sometimes, you know, they'll have kerosene heaters and we'll smell like kerosene all the time in the house, and we kind of like huddled up in the living room until I had to go home. So to get a real meal and to get like the nourishment that kids need, they got it from other places. So it's like they were put out in the streets to fend for themselves, and so other people kind of taking them in because they're like really good kids, but they had no options. So it's
They were
almost like
surviving.
they were just
surviving.
trying to survive.
And
So
this is in the 80s in Detroit, which is
in Detroit, yes.
rough.
And so the small community was flourishing, and by that time, you know, a lot of older women that was single and had their own homes and stuff like that, they would start rolling of, and they had a lot of different older women rolling for them, so that they would have somewhere to go to leave their money, to, instead of being out on the street, they had a safe haven. So when it was time for me to go in at the street lights, and by the sound of our parents' voice, we had to be on our street or on our porch, then they had to leave. And so when it's time for us to go in, that's when they go out, because they need
They had to go find
somewhere,
somewhere to stay,
they had
get
to find
shelter.
somewhere to be, you know, to be at, you know, that was safe.
You talking about
So,
Detroit in the 80s, and you talking about the cold was like temperatures, what you
Man.
talking about in the teens and 20s. So
crazy. So with that being said, they were kind of like thrown in the streets, basically, to, as I said earlier, to fend for themselves, and other people took them in. So it's like these older women kind of took advantage of them because they could. But then they've seen that as love from what they didn't get. So with that being said again, they had to do what they had to do for survival. And being that the place where they came from wasn't a place from love, they had to make do or whatever it is, whatever conditions, because it was better than where they were. So a lot of times they'll come home and they have paperwork from the state or the city saying that their house is going in foreclosure and all of this because the taxes wasn't paid. They'll go hustle the whole week or two and make up that money to pay the taxes at their parents' house. And then they just got so to the point that they are really good kids, you know, to where everybody loves them and love their personality, because the way they were raised, a lot of times children that didn't have a lot, they are very appreciative when they do get something, because
they're very grateful.
they're very grateful. So everybody catered to them. And so my parents, when I get mad at him and I call myself quitting him, my mama still let him in my house. And I'm like, well, mama, I done quitted him. And she said, quit it? She said, no, well, you did, I didn't. He can come in, you just don't have to talk to him. And I'm
So
like,
your mom was basically like a second mom to him.
oh, yeah. So
I mean, I
when,
understand your mom is very popular amongst a lot of the players and people
Yes.
in the city.
My father and mother raised a lot of people. A lot of people didn't have
bought a lot of bikes for
Bought a lot of-
everybody. When she
Christmas
cooked,
clothes,
everybody come over to eat.
toys, all our
So-
stuff. Sometimes they'll take our stuff and give it to somebody else because we have and they don't have. So they be
You
like,
guys, you
they'll
guys
just-
grew up in a place of compassion and love. So then we have these two young guys that they're not really having a stable home. They're having to kind of really, as people, that expression, a lot of people use that expression, but they don't really know. When people say they had to get it out the mud.
They
'Cause
had
didn't really
to.
have,
Yes.
They had
you know,
to.
so you guys were a place of love and support.
They
But
always
when-
loved our family structure. They
Yes.
loved that. They
So
would
it-
always wish they had
My
that.
mom cooked for them.
Everything.
And everything. Because my mom always, she like that mom that feeds the city. Like whoever
eat her
come
food,
through, you gonna
she
get
be mad.
fed. And she be like, "Oh, sit your
Yeah,
ass down
eat-
and go
eat
and
something.
get something to eat. I know you ain't ate today or whatever. Don't act that way over here. Here, take this."
And don't call me Miss
Yeah.
Hussey.
Right. So
So with that being said, so you basically knew Meech Tee and your brother when they had nothing.
yes,
So you saw them from their transition from the beginning to the end.
yes.
You kind of saw and witnessed that. And so you guys had a child later on.
Yes.
Tell me
In
about that,
89.
what year it was.
It was in 1989. We had my daughter, and he by then was on his way to going to Atlanta a lot. So we used to go to Atlanta a lot. He had a house down there or whatever. But then as he moved to get bigger, we kind of separated because the thing is that he had told me that, you know, if it wasn't for you, in which he's talking about me, breaking up with him, that it would have been that we needed to separate anyway, because anything that means more to you than you of it, then you shouldn't have. He said, because if anything was to happen to me on his watch, then it wouldn't be no point for him to even live anymore, because he protect me and love me that much. And he's like, I've changed so much. I'm not that man that I used to be, that you know about. And he said that, well, it's going to be hard for you, because I'm going to make it hard, that no other guy would ever be able to do the things that I do for you and to be with you the way that I love you and that you love me. He said, we don't even have to be in the same place or space for us to already know what we both need. And he said, I see a whole lot of females, and that's basically what they are to me, but that love is, with you and me, is unconditional. It's not.
You guys became family.
Yes, we became family. So when I had my daughter, I didn't even bother to put his name on the birth certificate, because I knew what he did, and I didn't want them
People
to
come
have
after
an
him.
excuse to come after him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll take it for the team. When they asked me, well, who is the father? I said, unknown. I don't even know. Because it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, when I was able to take care of her is when I had her. And whatever he did would be extra. So he told me in front of my parents, like, oh, you'll never have to work. You'll never have to go to school. My dad was like, no, you a lie. He said, as long as she live and she's my daughter, she's going to go get hers, and whatever you do is extra. And so I got a couple of degrees. We kind of, spread it apart, but we always stayed connected, in which we'll always be. And even though, the people in the neighborhood and his mom and them was saying that other people, had a kid by him or whatever, I even accepted that child because of the mother being, using drugs and all of that other kind of stuff. And these kids don't ask to come here.
So he had other illegitimate children?
No,
Alleged?
allegedly another daughter.
Because his daughter is, my niece and me, is a spit image of
And that's
him. We'll
just
get
like
into that.
just like her brother. And so they both look identical, and they used to think that his son was actually my son, because sometimes, we'll have him when they come to the city, and they look just alike. So, but nevertheless,
So my question for you now is, so you were very instrumental as a young friend coming up and being there. I relate to that because I left home at an early age and was really close with, I had a best friend from school and her mom. So it's a similar situation. Did he reciprocate the love once he got in a better position? Did he look out and show love? Because it sounds like you guys were doing a lot once he got himself together.
Oh, my
You guys were
goodness.
going to concerts and going to eat and,
So in my senior year, just before, so I was in the 11th grade, I won homecoming queen at Ecorse High. So in my senior year, I went to Southwestern. And so my dad was like, hey, you know that these girls that you're going to be playing against or want to play against, they've been there throughout their high school years. So if you just coming to go and you think you're going to start, then your feelings going to be hurt. You're going to have to up your game. And then he said, so you might be coming off the bench. I said, Dad, what's my last name? And then I said, I am not coming off the bench. It's either I'm going to start or I don't need to play. And he said, well, those girls is like, which they were. I was the biggest girl on the team in Ecorse, but I was the smallest one when I went to Southwestern. And so the girl was like, well, I'll play you, play against you to get the position. And so I said, no problem. And then when, we laced up, I started. They called my name when I came out the locker room. I'm not coming off the bench. No, I'm starting. That's what I came here for. And so I did. So
you guys went to prom together because there's a nice picture you guys
we
going
went
to prom
together.
We
went to all the concerts. We used to go to Stanley's to go eat. When I was pregnant with my daughter, we went to all the seafood places and all that. So I went from 125 pounds to 201 pounds. So the doctor said, ain't no way your baby gonna be 70 pounds. He was like, you gonna be the first one that I have to put on a diet. He said, so what is you doing? Eating good all the time. And so I was really picky about him spending money all the time. Because I didn't know nothing about all of that kind of stuff,
Did he reciprocate with your mom and all in the family? Since, you guys, obviously, she was a catalyst in being a positive influence and providing a warm home and shelter at times,
Yeah, so my mom was like, hey, I have, he buy me mink coats and all of this kind of stuff and tennis bracelets and they used to think that when I was at school, and he would send limos to come pick me up at the school.
High school?
At high school.
Wow.
And, I didn't never have to walk. He used to go shopping for me because I would be wanting to look at the tags to see how much he spent. Because I'm like, no, I don't want that. No, you crazy. We had the snakeskin glasses, gazelles, and all of this kind of stuff. So since he knew that I would be fussing about the money, he would just always buy everything for me that I already, have to wear to the concerts and everything else because he knew that I wouldn't have paid none of that kind of money or whatever. So sometimes when he come from out of the state, he'll come and it look like Christmas because he have all these bags and all this. So I never had to ask for anything because he always given it to me, but I always worked as well. So that was
You
no
worked in the
big
medical.
deal.
You worked in the medical.
Yeah, I
field.
was a surgical nurse for 27 years in
Wow.
OR. So
coming up to date now, we're going to be speaking with your daughter in the next episode. Have you guys communicated since he got locked up and he has been doing his bid over these last few decades?
So where we already was understood don't have to be explained. So we don't have to because we kind of stay away from all of that because of how it all went down and all of the different things that has happened in between. So no matter what,
You guys
he's
have a
gonna
bond for
always
life.
be forever, always. So
But yes, he has called.
yeah,
he has talked to
yes,
him.
I've talked to him. I went to Atlanta. He had been calling for me, but no one never gave me.
Why was he calling you?
The reason for anything, or even came to me to let me know, because if they would have, then there wouldn't been a reason for them to
wouldn't
be
have,
there.
Telese?
So it would be like family and friends of them.
Hold
So
on,
I
let-
just
no,
not
just hold on,
saying
hold on. Just
the
tell
name.
him. Just here's the reason why he was calling you, and because you're not giving him the whole spiel, you leaving out the part that he called because of the movie, and he was looking for you and
Manisa.
Manisa both.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, Telese. So the show is out now. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not. Are you depicted, are you and your family involved in the show, in the depiction of the show? Or were you guys left out of that?
Well, we were left out intentionally because when I went to Atlanta with his sister, he asked me, where were you? Where you been? And I'm like, what do you mean, where I've been? I'm not too far away from your family. Everybody knows how to get in touch with me and my daughter. And he said, well, you're supposed to be, in the picture. You're supposed to be talking to Randy Higgins. You're supposed to be talking to Stars. You're supposed to been there, you and Manisa. And just like Tonisha Welch, she went to go do this BMF Wives, in which Demetrius had canceled because Manisa, which is my daughter, and me was supposed to be part of that. And because everybody wants to try to leave us out of everything, he canceled it. He called and got it canceled. And so this BMF
I remember the BMF Wives. I was around during that time, and I hadn't met you at that time.
Okay.
But I do remember Tony and the crew that they had around at that time.
Yeah.
Janelle and all them.
Yeah.
No, it was only like four girls at the time, but none of them, I believe,
She
were
was one
like
of
they
them.
went back as far as you with the history
No.
that you guys have in your relationship. Because honestly, I'm gonna tell you, they don't make women like you no more.
Oh, that's
Down
so
ones
nice.
is
Thank
just
you.
like that. So it's always a great thing to have someone like that in your life that you can go to, that they're not gonna judge you. They're gonna be there for you no matter what. In today's times, we old school, we OGs versus the new.
sure.
It don't go down like
That part.
So you hadn't been
That
involved
part.
in the show, but I do understand. If
I
you could
was
share with
asked
the viewers
to be
now,
in the show, but as an extra. So I'm
why
like,
would you be an
what?
extra when you a feature?
So so I'm like, no, that's not for me. And they also asked, his sister also asked if my daughter want to be an extra, and she's like, no.
Why would you be an extra? That's insulting.
That's very much so. But at the same time, when someone was 6 or 8 years old, and I taught her how to comb her hair and wipe herself and all of that, and did her prom dress and her shoes and her purse to match and all of that, I was there when a lot of people wasn't. Get her out the house and out the hole, I don't know for what reason why I'm the one they love to hate, but it's all good. The underdogs is the one that always
Well,
come back
Hollywood
up.
doesn't like
So
real people. They like people they can exploit. And I want to touch on something. So I have knowledge and understand that you went to Atlanta a few years ago, I remember.
Yes.
And you met with Randy Huggins or whoever his name
Yes.
is, and all these people who are creators of the show. I don't know how you're going to create some shit that was already there.
That part.
You provided them with a photo that they are using in the television show all throughout the promos. That picture of Meech Tee was taken
in front of my
your
parents' house. Yes.
Yep.
by you guys, you and your brother. That was you guys' photo.
Yes.
And they asked you for permission to use that. Did they ever compensate you for that photo?
Never.
And you have a copy. You sent me a copy of the agreement where they gave you an art prop agreement
With no
for zero consideration.
consideration.
So,
Right.
how did that sit with you? And did that set the tone to let you know how those people were doing business?
Yes. So I kept getting calls from Deanne that is part of the legal department there. And she was like, well, can you please send the pictures or whatever? Because we've been needing everything that you have. And so by the time I got down there in Atlanta,
And this was what, 2021?
I'm
22? This is
thinking
about 21, right?
And this is about 23, 22, no, about 22.
About 22 or 23.
No, 21, because 22 was, I think this was 20.
It could be.
2021, you was down there.
Yeah, so my daughter and I had went down there. And so I got, I met Randy, and so he said that, I spoke with Meech and all of that, And now that I met you, it was a pleasure meeting you. He had ordered food, and so all of us did that came there to the meeting with him. And he was like, just wrap the food up and just keep sending me drinks. He said, I just can't believe that you are all what Demetrius said you was, and I needed you a long time ago. And he was like, it was just such a pleasure meeting you. Now that I met you, we're a team now. Like,
So
I'm going to
he's
stay
saying
in
these
touch.
things because we also received some correspondence from them as well, and a lot of things that we'll get into in the next episode. So he's saying all this. Did they fly you to Atlanta? Or did you fly yourself down there?
Negative,
You
not.
paid your own expenses to get
I
down there?
paid my own
They
expenses.
put you up in a hotel?
No, I paid for that too. Danielle charged me to go down there with her.
Charged you? What do you mean charged you?
She said that I had to pay half of the hotel rooms, half on the gas to go down there. Then also, when we got down there, you know, the price changed again. And so I think that it was just a ploy to try to find a way for them to get out of me going, because she also had a conversation with Demetrius' son's mother about me coming down there if that was going to be a problem. So,
But you and Tara, I believe, Tara, you guys have had a good relationship over the years.
as far as I knew, but
But this has nothing to do with them and that side. We're talking about Hollywood now. This is not has nothing to do with Meech, Lil Meech, or no one on the family side, because they don't have control. So Hollywood, Stars, and Lionsgate Corporation, which is a publicly traded company,
okay.
gave you an agreement. Did you get any consideration for that agreement, for
None
providing that photo?
whatsoever. None
So
whatsoever.
the photo is being used right now across the world and on all multiple platforms is a photo that they've licensed for what consideration?
None.
So you didn't have any
Zero.
travel provided, you had no transportation, no nothing, and you provided them. Why did you give them the photo? What made you give them the photo?
Well, his sister kept calling me and begging me to find photos that they needed, because actually, since him and I have been together for forever, that I had all the original photos and everything anyways. So they only had the photos once they got to Atlanta or whatever else. But all of the beginnings and everything, you know, there was no possibility of no one else knowing of how it went, because at that time, again, she was about 8 years old. So there wasn't over to their parents in them house that often, because they start coming away from being around their parents. Because once their dad even found out that they started making money, then he came back around a couple years later. So that's when I met him.
So their parents were fully aware they were hustling at that time. At a
Oh,
young age.
yes. Oh,
condoned
yes.
it.
Oh, my God. I mean, if they had to take care of their sisters and themselves and pay taxes, how they didn't know. So the father, like I said, he didn't work at no GM. Our
Great
father
Lakes
worked
Steel.
at Great Lakes Steel.
He didn't work at Great Lakes. Our father.
So
You talking about the inconsistencies in the show?
the show.
in the show.
Okay.
And then it was to the point that he loved my parents so much that when he got caught up, he ended up giving my parents $1 million in order to hold for him. And then every other day, his mom would come over to my parents' house and ask for money. And to the point, my mom and my brother Dexter told him, well, you know what? You're not getting no more money. This is for his legal, you know, defense and all of that. That, you know, you got what you gonna get.
Right. Well,
And then when like I was saying before, when I would break up with him, his mom brought his little sister with him, which at that time she was yet really young, and said that she wanted all the things that Demetrius bought me. And my mama was like, if you don't get your ass off my porch, girl, bye. And then my dad was like, oh, no, that's just material stuff. Like, go on and give it to her. She said, no, can she get her virginity back? Chop it up to the game.
Well, I got to commend you because at
So,
the end of the day,
that
after
part.
hearing all this, you know, you're here. We thank you for your time and being here with us. You don't have any animosity. You're at peace.
Yes.
So it says a lot about your character in the context of the person that you are, because you're obviously not chasing anything. You're not looking for nothing, you know. So it says a lot about you and who you are. So I definitely commend you on that. And you know, we thank you for coming on the show.
It was my
You know?
pleasure. Thank you
Guys,
for having me.
We're here at the Blueprint. Stay
Peace.
tuned for the next
Stay
episode.
tuned.
We just started.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.